Micheal A. Abiodun. Yes, I'm a lawyer. I'm an author. Um, I'm a blind person also. And I've done studies in different areas of law, beginning with general law, Bachelor of Laws from the University of Lagos in Nigeria, and afterwards I proceeded to University of Aberdeen for my master's in international commercial law, and I also undertook a PhD in security, human rights, and anti-terrorism laws. Um, yes, I love writing, and that has brought me to about 35 titles in relation to books. My latest, I'm working on a book at the moment titled Ready Africa and Unready Africans. And there's another one being planned for, being worked on also. It's titled Gone with the Winds of Time. Before these two, my last work is titled The Mistakes of Men. Yes, that's me. I love music, and I'm a great fan of football. I follow Manchester City and Barcelona. Yes. Last this month of February, the 7th of February.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yes, and he's always in all of my books. His name is there. His name is Sublime Shadell. Shadell, Shadelle. And my wife's name is always there too. They say behind every successful man. Beside. Okay, it's no longer behind.
Beside every successful man.
Okay, there is a success. There is a woman, right?
Yes,
Okay, so she has her contribution. So I make sure she is there in my books. Elizabeth by name. So yes, that's it.
So maybe coming back to Nigeria was not so bad after
No, it wasn't. We started dating right from our Aberdeen days. Yeah, I was naive. I had a white girl from Inverness that something could have happened, but I was very naive, so I lost out. And somewhere, somehow, I got in contact with this, and we started communication, and today is now history. She's in my house.
I wish you the very best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Every man, the Aworis are predominantly from Ota in Ogun State and Lagos State.
Okay.
Lagos mainland generally is Awori owned. All the from Agbara to Ijaniki to Mile 2 to Festac to Oshodi, Yaba, all that is Awori land. So I'm Lagos State. I'm from Lagos State. Writing or becoming a writer is a trajectory from dream to reality. What do I mean? It has been my dream. I remember back in primary 3, my classmates asking me as little, as young as well at the time, what I wanted to become. And my simple, straight, short answer that day was, I wanted to become a lawyer, and I wanted to become a writer also. Well, what influenced me, or what gets me going, are a number of reasons. One of them is I love to effect positive change. And I thought that penning down my thoughts, especially on contemporary issues or matters beckoning for change, will convey my message to the world around me, and if possible, the wider world. I love change. Second, or another reason, is there is the drive to contribute to life, and that must be done with urgency, because life is never and will never be at one's command. Breath will not be at one's command forever. No. So within the span of time that one has got, the best that one can offer to the world, offer to life, is better swiftly done. That's why it appears one is running and churning out books month in, month out, because I started writing in 2016. And I don't know why it surprises people that within 2016, between 2016 and 2023, I've been able to come up with about 35 of them. I don't see that as great feat, but it seems so to some people. But the driving thing is the brevity of life and time. Life is short, time is short. The best must be done within the little life and little span of time. The thing is, my mind or my brain comes up with a title, and then I begin to think along that title, or I pick up is something I consider an ill in the society that needs attention, or needs a change, you see, or needs to be viewed from a wider perspective, or from a closer look by people. And I then try to coin a title around it, and then I begin to think about it. So it begins with my mind. The research begins with my mind. Once the title comes up, then the thinking process begins. But of course, it goes beyond that, because my writings cover international law and other contemporary issues that require sometimes very torturous research. How do I go about it as a blind person? Well, I look for books in that line, and unfortunately for me, because of my sight challenge, most of those books are not in Braille. Braille is what blind people read with our fingers. In this part of the world, is not, for many books, they are not readily available in Braille. So what then do? I get people, typists, or friends, to type out the book, and then put it on a flash drive, which I put into my laptop, which has the speech software, so I can read the book, get ideas of other people in that area, or in that area of research, and then from there I can think through and coin out ideas, while of course acknowledging those other ideas from those other scholars. So that's one way I go about research. But I'm also a writer on financial matters, and on novels as well, especially novels, historical novels presented in fictional manner. That, to a very large extent, is dependent on the world of imagination, my imagination, you see. So it's not so difficult, so to say, except in the area of having to do research and having to need friends, having to type, because that can be very expensive in this part of the world. Unlike my days in Aberdeen, when I could just send something straight to the Braille embosser, and within minutes a whole textbook is ready for me to read in Braille. In this part of the world, in Africa, is absolutely different, and it can be time consuming, it's energy sapping, it can be draining financially. But what is worth doing, they say, is worth doing well. So I just set myself ready to achieve a feat and push myself even beyond the limits to get it done, because there's always a fulfilling joy at the end of every completion. Just for the ones that are more research based, academic books, well, it's just got to be the fact, and the facts alone. What my thoughts are, what the contributions of other scholars are, and just opposing that with what my opinion is, and arriving at, a good conclusion. And sometimes the conclusions are not necessary from me. The readers will draw the conclusion from both sides of the argument. As for novels and those other books, it's books give you a wide latitude to express your thoughts, what you think, and about things of culture back in the day, and what the modern trends now seems to teach us, and why the events back then, the way of life back then, doesn't meet with what is on ground in contemporary times. Or sometimes it is actually the contemporary time that is failing, because it appears it hasn't borrowed leaf from what obtained back in history. I sometimes even borrow lessons from some cultures outside Africa, even sometimes outside in Europe, despite the level of development in the what I call the Euro-American cultures. You see, the whole idea, as I maintain, is to present the necessity or the need for one, reinventing humanity, redefining and redesigning. Put in simple terms, just finding that way to pass across the message for a positive change, or a return to what is no longer considered as necessary, because what is now considered as the in thing is not as good as that which has been pushed aside. Well, that must be explained from different perspectives. Okay, perspective one, lessons learned as a blind person. The world is a crowd, and if a blind person like myself, or handicapped persons generally, want to stand out, the extra needs to be done. And I've learned over time, especially back in my days in Aberdeen, no challenge has come to ruin you. Every challenge has come to make you better. But of course, it all depends on how challenges are viewed, and how the tone of attitude that one attaches to the storms that come beating against one's boat on the sea of life. I have learned over time that bitterness or being bitter or self-pity is never the answer. No, I've rather learned that self-pity and bitterness, they only succeed in blurring vision. And as I wrote in one of my books, the book titled The Mistakes of Men, I mean, blindness is a phenomenon of the eyes, but the blindness of the mind is one great tragedy that no human person should afford or allow. Because then, at that level, it is one begins to grow in absolute darkness. One's vision is blurred, one's understanding becomes myopic, the way of success becomes unknown, and what then happens? One gets lost in the crowd of life, get lost in the wilderness of life. So I've learned to stay happy. I am a happy chappy. That's the first thing. I have also learned over time, I'm sorry, maybe many may not appreciate this. I've learned over time and through time that sleep, especially too much sleep, is an enemy of man, is an antithesis to any success-seeking individual. How do I mean? We are often encouraged to sleep at least 8 hours. Yeah? But at some point, back many years back, I calculated that, look, there are 24 hours in a day. If I sleep 8 hours in one day, that means 1/3 of 24 hours has been spent in sleep. What then does that mean? Okay, by the time I turn 60, sleeping 8 hours every day out of 24 hours, I've spent 1/3 of my 60 years in sleep. 1/3 is 20 years. That's terrible. I know one needs rest, of course, especially the mind needs rest. But over time I've trained myself to love sleep less, love to sleep very less. Forgive me for that grammar. And I've also learned over time also that knowledge reaches man best at night. I'm not trying to be overly metaphorical, but I'm of the strong view that the night dispenses knowledge. The night is one of the best times to sit up and read, sit up and make research, sit up and write, because knowledge speaks to man, especially at night. And I could quote references from the Bible and from books about that. So my nights, I enjoy my night with research, with reading, with writing. I've learned that and I've kept to it, right? I've also learned all this while of writing and researching that it is a curse. I'm sorry for using such strong words. It is a curse to postpone a day's assignment for the next. No, every day has its own assignment, and don't convolute it. What is today's assignment? Let it be done today. I've learned so much from people, especially on the management of time. I've come to know over time that good life is determined by good time management. And unfortunately, one major bane, B-A-N-E, of Africa, and many Africans like myself, is the misuse of time, disrespect for time, no value to time. It always comes back to bite one. It always comes back. So I do the best I can. I'm not perfect, far from it, but I never strive to keep pace with time. I strive to get ahead of time. Because I know that even if an additional 12 hours is added to the 24, it will still not be enough. So one better do the best with what time can afford. And one of the ways to do that, I've learned, is by prioritizing. Yes, I've learned quite much. I've learned also that it is always good to dream big, because dreaming little will either end you with little, less, or nothing. So dream big, so that even if you don't get to the greatest height, and there's nothing stopping one from attaining the greatest height. But even if one doesn't, you will not be too far from that greatest height. Right. What else? Quite a number of things. I have one great problem that I have experienced with writing is it's not the problem about writing the thing, writing the novel. It's always when coming back, there is this feeling. You just have this feeling sometimes, oh, what rubbish have you written? And then you have to come back and rewrite, or sometimes re-editing. That can be very torturous. Well, the thing is, I have come this far. Is there still any challenge that can set me back? That would be very stupid of me. I've seen more than enough of challenges in life. I don't believe any bigger one can come that can roar at me as a lion and scare me. No. But this is it. I do my best to organize myself. Usually between 9 and 11:30, I am sleeping, because I must wake up before 12 midnight. Okay? And do things that I need to do. So I organize myself and prepare myself against the challenges. I haven't overcome them because the Nigerian economy is in terrible mess. Terrible mess, right? And it's so bad that some of the things I dreamed to do, I've not been able to achieve them. For example, it's my plan to. Well, I got admission to do a course in England, and I should have done that since last year. I had to defer because trying to raise money has been very, very super difficult. The economy isn't helping, and this is one reason, one major challenge that one is facing. I've been able to publish a few of my books, maybe about 9 or 10 out of about all the long list I've given. But I did that out of real striving, out of my meager means. I mean, sometimes cutting one even to the limits, and part of the reason I published is I'm looking forward to a day that I'll come across a kind-hearted individual who can do a launch for me for fundraising in order to have some other feats of success achieved, you see, because they require money, and I don't have the money. Unfortunately, I've not been able to come across a kind-hearted Nigerian who could do that for me, but I keep looking at the brighter side of life. Um, Somebody, someone, organization will come by somehow and at some point. So, talking about the economy is really a major challenge for me. But oh well, there's always a tomorrow. After a bleakful day, there's always a bright tomorrow. And I'm hoping that that bright tomorrow will come and come soon. Oh, good question. So, that was the star question that I've actually been waiting for. You'll see from from the camera and from yourselves that there's a difference between these two eyeballs. This seems developed and appears like the normal size of eyeball, but this one is shrunk in, isn't it? Can you see that? Yes. So what happened? I was about 5 years of age. So I was about 5 years of age. Yes, about 5, 6 years of age. One evening we were playing ball, and my father's next door neighbor's son threw a stone on this left eye. It was about 8:30 in the evening. This left eye. And because of improper, my parents weren't educated. Because of improper medical care, it not only affected this, as a consequence of inflammation, it affected these also. Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
That's how blindness came in. Not more.
Sorry about that, sir.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, for every sorry caused by man or the devil, God always has a praise for himself. I always tell people, where circumstances of life or Satan or humanity's wickedness blocks the door, God always has a big window by the wall that he flings open. So there's no blockage with God and by God and through God. God always makes a way of escape. So education stopped because I was in primary 1 at the time. Education stopped, but along the line, some years later, Pacelli School for the Blind in Surulere was discovered, and I was taken to that blind school. It was a boarding house. I was there. That was where I finished my primary education. From there, I went on to Federal Government College, Lagos. That's at Ijaniki. And after that, to University of Lagos, where I read law. From there to Nigerian Law School in Buhari, Abuja here. I also served. That's my National Youth Service Corps. It was also in Abuja here, in Nikon Insurance Plaza. And while that was ongoing, I was seeking admission for higher studies. And fortunately, Aberdeen came, University of Aberdeen, and I went over for my master's and also undertook PhD. I'm back here. I'm here in Nigeria, but I'm planning. I'm hoping that somebody will come by. I love to go back to school. Because my dream is actually lecturing. I want to lecture. I want to teach. At the moment, I'm a federal prosecutor, but I want to teach. That's my dream. I have 4 major dreams. 1, to be a lawyer. That God has accomplished that fit for me. To be a writer, well, I'm getting there gradually. And then I want to be a teacher, a lecturer. I haven't got there. It has not started. And my 4th dream is to have a publishing outfit in Nigeria for Africa. 1 in London for Europe and Asia, and 1 in New York for the US, and the rest of the Americas, north and south. That's my fourth dream. If you ask me for the fifth, is to see that every blind person of African descent gets a decent education. Those are my dreams for life. 5 of them. Born with it, yes. Not hereditary.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I'm the only blind person, I'm the only handicapped person out of my father's 12 children.
I'm still going to ask how many siblings you had.
12!
12. So
My father had 12.
what's your position, sir? First, second?
Well, before 2 of them died, or 3 of them, I was number 10. So, just 2 after me were 12, I was number 10. It's possible, especially with this one.
Yes.
With this one. And I tried to do a crowdfunder fundraising at some point for this to travel to the UK because technology is advancing. Medical science is developing. Maybe every day. I'm sure there's something in the Europe, in the Americas, that can be done at least to this one. But I couldn't raise enough money at the time. I only raised about £60. A mind that doesn't consume books is a starved or starving mind. In one of my books, I wrote something, and that's the book Principles for Prosperity and Financial Management. I remember at some point I wrote, it makes great sense to starve oneself today and feed one's career, because one's career will turn around tomorrow to feed one. Nothing else. Well, among many, one major food for the mind is book, because the reading books trains the mind, and an untrained mind, you can just wrap it up for me what kind of mind that is. It's starving, it's uncivil, it's uncivilized, is uneducated. An untrained mind is myopic. It doesn't see far. No, certainly not far enough. So, may I say that, and you try to judge the thinking process or the thought of one who does not read and one who trains his mind with consistent reading of good books. They are poles apart, and I think absolutely. So, we can only get better when we allow the mind consume its food. I'm sorry? The mind that doesn't is, in my view, in the past, is an antithesis of currency. And being current is the currency of the world. If you are not current, you'll be left behind. A mind that is not given to reading and developing itself through reading, through courses, is a mind far left behind. Far left behind.
Thank you, sir.
Back.
Yes.
Okay, well, I just finished a book titled The Mistakes of Men. My coming back is a mistake of man. That's my answer. It's the greatest undoing I did to myself all these my few years on planet Earth. I should not, but it's okay. The question is, what if on my way back, which takes us to the B part of it, what if on my way back the aeroplane had crashed in a desert and I managed to come out of the aeroplane and find myself on the hot sand of the desert? I have a choice to lie down and eventually die, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But I equally have a choice to keep walking until I meet a life, and in the process of that,
You're saved.
make the desert I find myself a habitable oasis. It is a choice. I found myself back in Nigeria. I mean, somebody told me when I was about coming back, so you are going back to a nation that eats up its inhabitants. That's what he told me. But every desert can be made an oasis. Every wilderness can become a fertile ground. That I find myself back in Nigeria and where things are not as comfortable as they were should also tell me to push harder. I was in my comfort zone when everything was computerized and at my beck and call, organized society. Now I'm back there. How did I manage before I left there? Yes, I just had to get back to my pushful spirit and keep my dream back alive and keep pushing it to reality. For those that are running away, every man has his dream. Everyone has his interest for life, has the goal that he's pursuing. If the world outside Nigeria is a viable environment where those goals will be achieved and achieved with greater ease, why not? Why not? Of course, over there, couldn't one still contribute to the nation back home? Of course, it's possible, yes. Now, but if traveling abroad, outside Nigeria, is with the mind that the world outside Nigeria is an El Dorado, I'm sorry, a disaster is awaiting in the wings. Because it is not an El Dorado at all. It's not. It's a world of opportunities. It's a more organized world. That's true. But it has its buts as well. Okay? Back home here in Nigeria, the question is, what is you as a youth doing with your time, with your energy? Because if there is nothing that you are doing, even the world you are running to will also find you with nothing. God is not going to bless any life that has nothing for its blessings to fall upon. I'm sorry, it is not the lazy that will get the blessings of God. Yes, there is the place of mercy. But how often does it come? Hard work pays. My only advice, except there is something, a purposeful thing for which one is going, find your purpose here then and pursue your dream. That dream may even be the one that will necessitate your going outside there. But if there's nothing, and it is just the drive of, I want to leave this country, I want to leave this country, I want to go abroad, well, you will not find your feet abroad. Because you never took it along in the first place. You never had a feet in your country. By feet, I mean you had no dream, no goal you were pursuing in your country. Oh, is it over there? You'll find it. There are chances you can. And those chances, slim most of the time? I think so. So, building Nigeria is a collective effort for everyone home and abroad. Wherever you find your dream, or you find that your dream will become a reality, pursue that end, pursue that place, Nigeria or abroad.
Okay.
You know, you never consider the bees, do you? You don't consider the sting of the bees. What you consider is the ultimate end, which is the sweetness of the honey, right? So um always, I train my mind to always view the end, not the start or the midpoint. No, considering the start or the midpoint will get one discouraged, and you may never finish the assignment. You may never get that dream to move into the realm of reality. I always put my mind on the finish line, always looking, imagining the end, and the celebration and the at the end. I think two more things to say that I've learned. I've learned also that how did heroes make it? I'm not a hero. How did legends, how did they make it? I concluded to myself that those who think and walk and sleep as as many men do will only achieve the results such as are attained by common people. So think differently, sleep differently, walk differently, because the time is coming that the energy for the walk, well, I still have the years on my side now. By the time I turn 75, 80, 90, would I still have the passion and the energy to jump about? And so it's better done when the fire is still aglow. When you watch blacksmiths hit the metal when it is hottest. The blood is boiling and hot now. In the 90s, in the 80s, most very likely they would have gone quite cold. So this is the time to strike the gun when it is hottest. I've learned all of that lesson. I've learned also that to make an excuse for life because of disability is actually disabling oneself. There is no excuse for attaining success. No, absolutely not. I'm a fan of Ray Charles, the blind musician. How did he succeed? I'm a fan of Stevie Morris, the popular Stevie Wonder, who is also visually impaired. A great, great guy. Or wasn't he? Great, great guy. I envy a lot from a great woman. I'm trying to remember her name now, and her name just came up. I've read Helen Keller. I've read quite a number of stories about people that challenge me, and not only those who have physical handicap. A great TV presenter. What's her name now? What's her name? She's an American. Oh, come on! How can I forget this great woman? So I keep their pictures there, and they challenge me. Their pictures come back to my mind. I don't see them physically, but I see them with the eyes of my mind, and they do challenge me. And I have a friend of my heart. I haven't met him one-on-one, but when I was in great trouble some years ago, I wrote him, and he responded. And a great guy, he responded to me, and his words were very comforting. Such people. I'm referring to David Blunkett, who was former Secretary for Education and Secretary for the Home Department in the United Kingdom. Great guy. And too many people to mention. They challenge me. I've learned to draw inspiration from them, and from even people who have walked this earth and Journey to the Great Beyond. So those are some of the lessons I've learned through time, and which continues to inspire me and get me going and keep my drive alive and aglow. Incidences and the consequences of their mistakes was written in 2021. It's a string of chapters. It's not a novel. It's more of an academic work. And the foundation is from William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. There is a particular expression used by William Shakespeare where he talked about the Ides of March. And it appears to me that many do not understand what Shakespeare was referring to as the Ides of March. And because it appears that humanity has not considered the Ides of March, many mistakes keep repeating themselves in the history of man, and like William Shakespeare, man needs to revisit the true meaning of the Ides of March. Julius Caesar did not give it attention, and he paid the ultimate price with his life. So in the book, I use the Ides of March to discuss current social vices that both government and people have not given attention to. In the book, I think in chapter 10, attention was drawn to the issue of climate change as an Ides of March that man is not attending to, because that lack of attendant yearning to the issue of climate change will eventually spill cataclysmic doom on humanity. It's got to be given more attention. I looked in the book at world's population. I looked in the book at world's economy, with particular references to London, to New York, and I think a few other places, including Lagos, Nigeria, Africa, and also I did a comparative study on using William Shakespeare's book, Julius Caesar again, and Twelfth Night, and the book Othello. Othello was a general in the army, and a highly successful one who never lost battle. He was exceptional. His bravery was top notch. It was exceptional. But he had a weakness in him. He had his own Ides of March that he never attended to, and that brought him down. What the book is about? It's an essay on different topics and calling on humanity's attention to those ongoing global issues. What lesson? What importance? What lesson do I want people to draw from the book? The Ides of March. The Ides of March will always come calling. Julius Caesar was warned, but he failed to heed the clarion call, and the Ides of March caught him unguarded. The world, cultures, governments, organizations, people need to look inward on current issues beckoning for attention. They will become the Ides of March if that attention is not given. First book.
Oh, okay. So this was your
Need for financial freedom. Maybe I shouldn't go into all of that. The readers will find out. But really, the thing is, look, every dream that is not planned for will end up a dream. It will never dawn in the realm of reality. We plan to go to school by preparing for exams, by going to class, and isn't it? Going to school, pass our exams, go to school. In the same way, our finances need to be planned. Our planning is an investment of today for the assurance of tomorrow, because tomorrow is always the result of today. Today is a preparation. Tomorrow is always the outcome. So, a number of principled principles have been are in the book. The book Principles for Prosperity and Financial Management. And if those principles are followed, you know, poverty can become history in the world and for everyone if we begin with the mind. Because no experience of financial poverty will become history until mental poverty is dealt with and until planning is put into effect, and many more you'll find in the book. Plan your dreams. Think your dreams. Pursue your dreams. Invest in your dreams. They will never end up as dreams. They will become realities. The full title is No One Saw It Coming, A Nation Without Tomorrow. As I have said at different times in the course of this interview, part of the passion that gets me going is the drive to effect positive change. And I pick on different countries sometimes to write my novels. One of my novels did talk about Serbia and Russia and the First World War, the Second World War. That book is titled Memoirs of Wartime. It's a book, it's a historical novel tracing from 1908 to the present day. It's a novel. I picked on South Africa to write Another Mystery of Life. I picked on London, it's a town called Wandsworth in England, to write the book, but no one understood it. I picked on London for the book The Celebrated City of Dreams, Light and Dreams, Gold and Funfair. I picked on also England again to write the book The End of the Road. I've picked on Africa to write the book Ready Africa and Unready Africans. I picked on Nigeria to write the book No One Saw It Coming, A Nation Without Tomorrow. I don't want to go into details about that book, but let's say this. If one reclines himself to the misdeeds of history and gets imprisoned by history, but by the events of history, such individual will be left back in history. Let's put it simply this way. The passage of time is always inevitable, and so also is the ebbing tide of change. Of course, man must change in order to keep pace with time, because time keeps moving with its evolving changes. If man fails to acknowledge the transit of circumstances, time, and the need for change, what will happen? Man will be left in a vortex of impertinence. What do I mean by all of that grammar? In this part of the world, the blame is always on Britain, that Nigeria is a business contraction of Britain. Yes, Nigeria is an artificial creation of Britain. We're not supposed to be together. It is Britain, Britain, Britain. Please leave Britain alone. Britain did us no wrong by putting the North and South protectorates together. By the time Britain left us in 1960, officially, it left us with a lot of good, at least administration-wise. But what then happened from October 1st, 1960 till date? Britain gave us the baton of our own rule by our own people for our own people. What did our people do? From the onset, in my view, the founding fathers missed the tracks. And the founding fathers did not correct their errors. Apologies to the founding fathers. They fought for independence and they must be commended for that. But was their dealings with each other after independence not shrouded with tribalism and sentiments? Did they not convolute self-interest or selfish interest with nationalism? Strictly speaking, could really any one of them be called a nationalist in the true sense? Hear what one of them said, one of the founding fathers, discovering what was going wrong in the early 60s and the possibility of doom in the far future or the nearest future. Here was what he said. He said, I'm not going to mention his name. He said, the ship of the state, referring to Nigeria, the ship of the state is fast approaching a huge rock, visible enough for those that look beyond self-interest. Lest we stand and courageously steer it away, it shall hit the rock, and the inescapable consequences shall be unspeakable disaster, which is rare in the annals of man. Is he wrong? Unfortunately, the founding fathers passed on a stained baton to generations after them, and that has been the lingering trouble. Generations after generations have passed on that bad and badly stained baton. And except we look beyond self-interest, as that founding father said, the ship of the state is already approaching a huge rock. Vices are being committed in this part of the world with impunity. The greatest bane in this part of the world is impunity and the lack of accountability. I can do it. Nobody will take me to account. But it's turning around to bite. And the nation is looking like a tottering wall. A tottering wall hemmed on the cliff of a high mountain. And below is the swallowing ocean. Should the tottering wall collapse, it sinks deep into the deep ocean and marks the end of the entity, except it is steered away by an overhauling change of attitude. It is nation first before tribe, shouldn't it? If the polity will remain intact. So that's essentially what the book is about. It's about Nigeria and how Nigeria missed the road map and how it has continued on the wrong track. It needs to turn aside. It needs to turn around 180 degrees and get itself right.
Okay, so finally,
In time of war, in time of trouble, when valiant men choose to go to sleep, the city will go agog. The nation will go on fire. The implication is no one and everyone will pay the doom prices, and none will escape. Love of country, love of this country should be number one priority. If Nigeria will rise from its deathbed, the great Professor Chinua Achebe wrote a book, his last piece, his last contribution to humanity, There Was a Country. That's apt. We had a country. It was the love to have a country that drove the founding fathers to put their lives on the line and request for independence. We got it. Maybe we got it too cheap. Maybe we got it on a platter of gold and we didn't value what we got. Let's value Nigeria. Let's think Nigeria. Let's love Nigeria. This nation is sweet and can be sweeter if only we lose sight of ourselves, of our regions, of our tribes and tribesmen, and think Nigeria. Think oneness. Think love, equal love for everyone, irrespective of creed, irrespective of language, irrespective of whatsoever. But Nigeria first. Let Nigeria be first and remain first.
okay. So, sir,
Do we call it an appeal? I'm appealing to the world audience to read my books, to buy my books, to make comments. Your comments will go a long way to shape my thoughts. And I hope and pray that the comments are encouraging, because they will, put more fuel into my gas engine and get me rolling, get me going the more. So it's an appeal to everyone the world over to read my books, buy my books, or make comments, critique my books, because I remember my PhD supervisor. Oh, she did a lot of criticism on my work, and it was well, constructive. Thank you for that. And she gave me a great drilling. She really drilled me. And at the time, it was as though she was being difficult and wicked. But no, she wasn't. She made a life out of me. I was a student. She turned me into a thinker. She turned me into a scholar. So, constructively criticize me, you'll be making me better. Encourage me in your comments. Please buy my books and please read. It makes me greatly happy when people read my book and then come back and give me comments. It really gets me going. It makes me glad. So, please, and then please listen to this interview, and your comments also will be appreciated. I love you all my readers, all my friends, all who appreciate me, and I'm full of love and life, and I extend that love to everyone. Thank you.